Hey, I'm Shauna. Welcome to More Good News Only, the show where we discuss and celebrate the stories that uplift and inspire us all. Every weekday at 10:30 a.m., we are recapping the good news only, the feel-good headlines, the community, and the local wins that bring a little more light to your day. And I want to hear from you too. So if something good is happening in your world, personal victory, a community success, a birthday, or just something that made you smile, send me an email at news25 at WEK.com and be sure to put Hey Shauna, that's SHAUNA, in the subject line so I know it's for me. I would love to share your good news right here on the show. Today's show, as always, is full of good news. For starters, I wanted to remind you about the Promise of Hope program that is taking place actually tomorrow, March 6th. If you remember, Denise Bailey stopped by our show. She joined us at 10:30 and at 1 p.m. last month to talk about this program and all the good things that they are doing over at Peoria Dream Center. And if you want to donate, this is the program where the all the kids are going to prom and they're assisting them with dresses and shoes and makeup and hairstylists and all of the things that are necessary to get a young person off to prom happily and stylishly. If you want to donate, make sure you go to info at dreamcenterpeoria.org to get information on how you can donate your items. Just make sure stuff like skincare products, makeup, all that are new, unopened. Okay, so if it's not new, to you, it should be unopened, never before opened, that kind of stuff, just for their safety and for sanitation purposes. But anything else, make sure you send them those emails. Again, that email is info at dreamcenterpeoria.org to send those girls off to prom. Right. I remember when I went to prom, I had fun, but it wasn't, high school for me, period, was like, I was an adult mentally in high school. I was like, well, I'm ready to go. But I remember having a good time. Of course, I had a date. Um, and I was so cute. I was so cute. I think that was the part for me that was like the most fun, was getting dressed up and then parading around. And as always, we have a hater in the building. As always, Leon is right here in the way. But we, Leon, did you go to prom? What did you do at prom?
I went to two proms.
You went to two proms. Was that back in the day where they let you do the junior prom and the senior prom back in the old days?
No, my date didn't go to my high school, so we went to my prom and hers.
Oh, so you did that. Okay, okay. I know back in your time they had like junior, senior, sophomore. Didn't they used to do that for y'all
It was
back in the
junior
olden
prom.
days? And here he is, Central Illinois.
To
Didn't
make
they?
to make sure people understand that I am not that much older than her, so she is trying to act
Hey, it doesn't matter how much older. It's just older. That's what counts. It could be 12 months. It's older. I'm still younger.
wiser, and and I understand that she's trying to bait me, and that's what she does. She baits me to get over here. I'm trying to make sure her stuff is working right, her monitors are working right over here in the background, and what happens? The peanut gallery.
No, because you made a gagging noise when I said that I had a good time at prom and I had a date and I was pretty and I had fun and I was an adult. You were just being me.
How often do we have to hear about how pretty she is? Really, at some point,
You don't have to hear it to
geez,
know it. You can see it.
you know what?
More good news only after the break, everybody.
I will not be that.
You did that. The sweetest thing ever. Such a sweet girl. Nice person. Welcome back to more good news only. So, there is a village for sale, and I thought you might like to know that. Okay, in case you're in the market, and this is really a cute what how what do I say? It's a very cute village, right? The way it started is very precious, and I think it's a cute concept. Like I would love for Taylin to consent to living in my backyard with her husband and her kids one day in a tiny home. But this would make the perfect family compound. Let me show it to you. It's really cool. I thought it was cool at least. So if you've ever dreamed of owning your own town, a unique property in Randolph, Maine, might make that possible. So the property is known as Tut Hill, and it includes 40 acres and 21 buildings, essentially creating a small historic village. I think that's so cool. This man here, now this was his son, that was the little boy in the red shirt standing behind him in that first image. He In his town, they were going to destroy a house. He didn't want that house to be destroyed. So they sold it to him for $1 and told him he could have it for that dollar if he moved it himself. He had never moved a house, but he figured it out and he had that house moved to his property. And then he started getting more and more calls for the church you saw there, and some other buildings that you saw, some other houses. And he would move each of them and move them to his property. And then soon they decided to build some barns. I'm not quite sure what the purpose of the barns were. Maybe little garages, I don't know. But they decided to build some barns to go with some of those houses. And then the next thing you knew, they had a village. And I think this is so cool. Like, what if like someone bought it and all of like your family members, at least the ones you wanted to be bothered with, lived in this little town, on this piece of property. I think it is such a cool concept. It's got a church and everything. I really think that's cool. So this is the realtor here that he is speaking with, and she says that the whole property is for sale. It goes for $6 million, which is actually a really good deal. We'll have more on this story after the break. Welcome back to more Good News Only. So, back to that property we were discussing right before the break. It began back in 1967 when collector Kenneth Tuttle, who was the man we were talking about before, who bought the first house with $1. He started restoring these houses and relocating these homes, which were historic, along with the historic structures. Over time, the collection grew with antique buildings, barns, and even classic cars that are displayed across this property. The entire village is listed for 6 million, as I said before the break, with potential uses ranging from retreat centers to a wedding venue, which I thought that was a great idea. Someone inquired about renting out the property for as a wedding venue where they would also have their guests be able to stay on the property for their out of town accommodations. I thought that was very cool. But then again, like we were talking before, this could also just be a private community. Now, I'm not trying to encourage you to move to Maine, but I'm telling you, there are options. And, this is something that is pretty cool that you could do yourself. How cool would it be to live on something like this with your, again, family members and friends that you like? But this is really cool. Some homes are currently rented on here and on this particular property, and they are interested in selling to people who are going to honor those leases. I think this is just the sweetest concept ever. And speaking of sweet concepts, now this story was one that had a tragic beginning, but a sweet ending. So this is an emotional return to the field for the Monaco High School girls softball team, nearly 6 months after a devastating bus crash injured players and coaches. This must have been a really bad crash because almost the entire team was injured pretty seriously. So, before the first game of the season, the team honored the doctors, the nurses, and paramedics who helped save their lives. Many of the athletes suffered serious injuries and underwent weeks of treatment at OU Health. This is a level one trauma center. Players say the experience changed their perspective, reminding them to take not to take life for granted and take things one step at a time. One of the athletes said that this young girl here said that it just reminded her to take life one step at a time and not worry about or focus on your mistakes, because nobody's going to remember those. She said it reminded her to live life to the fullest and to be happy, to experience more joy in her life, not to take things so seriously. And she also says that she hopes to become a pediatric nurse like the one who took care of her during that accident. And so this is all because she was just inspired by the medical team that cared for her at the site of that crash. The opposing team also showed support, representing or presenting the Monaco players with roses before the game. And the young woman you saw with the neck brace, she actually broke her neck. Can you imagine? I mean, broke her neck, and it's been fused together. It was a whole thing. And the way she describes it sounds like it was a whole thing. It's a miracle that that baby is alive and that she is actually able to walk 6 months later onto that field. So congratulations to them, and I am hoping for a speedy recovery mentally, physically, and emotionally. I mean, this is one, I would assume that this is a situation, at least it would be for me, that is this accident it bonds them in a way that I think is going to last throughout their lives. You experience something with someone so profound, whether it be traumatic or whether it be positive. Nobody else was in that room with you, but that person to experience, or those people to experience it as, when you experienced it. And I think that kind of bonds you together in a way. And so this is their coach, and he considers the girl's family even more now than he did before, because they went through something and they survived it. So, again, I am wishing them all a speedy recovery. Congrats to them. And so, these kids, more kids in heroic situations, these two little kids are precious and they have been honored for saving their grandfather's life. So, two young siblings in Delfield are being praised for quick thinking during a frightening medical emergency. 8-year-old Everett Riordan and his 6-year-old sister, Anna Marie Riordan, they called 911 after their grandfather showed signs of a heart attack while he was reading them a bedtime story as he was babysitting them for their mom. The children calmly provided their address and details to the dispatcher and even secured the dog to help first responders be able to enter the home safely. Their grandfather, Jeff Byer, credits the kids with saving his life after he collapsed again while reading them that bedtime story. The local police honored the siblings at a special ceremony recognizing their bravery and their responsibility. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, someone in the United States dies from cardiovascular disease about every 34 seconds. Every 34 seconds, a life is lost, highlighting the importance of fast action. And these kids, according to their mom, her mother, their grandmother, passed away a year ago, and she always drove home the importance of making sure that all of the kids knew their phone numbers and addresses, just as she did for mom growing up. And so she said that she had been working with her kids on knowing for sure what their phone numbers and addresses were, and also understanding how to call 911, how to recognize the signs and symptoms of someone being in distress. And those babies took it to heart. They are so cute. And it's like she's so excited because she was the one who put the dog in the crate. Like they each had their job to do, and they are confident, assured, and they feel so proud of themselves, but in a way that is so humbling because there's like, if it happened again, you can tell that they are prepared to spring into action again, no questions asked. It's like it's their little job, but this man here, their grandfather, is so touched and so grateful to them for saving his life. I think it's just a wonderful concept to give birth to the people and the person who's going to give birth the one day to the person who is going to save your life. Everything, again, for me, everything happens for a reason. Who knew that this was part of their destiny? Thank God it was, because He is still with us, and those little babies have reason to be confident and proud of themselves. So congratulations to them, and I am wishing him a speedy recovery as well. Best of luck to this family. So when we come back after the break, well, no, we're not going to take a break. Let's go right through. So there's a neighborhood that's overrun by chickens. Thought you might find it interesting, so we're going to talk about it. So residents in Sacramento, it feels like always something's going on in Sacramento. Either way, residents there in Sacramento say their neighborhood has become overrun by hundreds of free-roaming chickens. How does that happen? Neighbors say the birds start crowing as early as 2 a.m. up screaming and hollering, making it difficult for residents to get a full night's sleep. Beyond the noise, people say the chickens wander into yards, dig up soil, and leave behind messes that could pose sanitation concerns. How do the chickens become so overrun? So that is so crazy. Residents have contacted the city for help, but officials say limited staffing means higher priority calls must come first. And no one has picked up a couple. They're in Florida picking up the frozen iguana that are taking over the city and becoming invasive, and eating those, putting them on pizzas, and nobody's picked up a chicken or some eggs to control maybe it's just that overrun. It's so crazy. Anyway, more on this after the break. Welcome back to More Good News Only. So, to finish up our story about that neighborhood that was just overrun by those chickens, um, some neighbors say that they would like to see the chickens safely relocated to a sanctuary rather than harmed. I mean, which that makes sense. I mean, what are they doing? But for now, residents say they'll still be searching for a solution and hoping for a little peace and quiet. That is just so interesting how they've, like, where did the first chicken come from? Is the question, you know? Just gallivanting about the streets. Where did they come from? Either way, it reminds me of the little story. What was that little story we were growing up about the hen and she cooked all the stuff, did all the things, made all the bread, and nobody wanted to help. If you remember that story, send me an email, news25week.com. And she was asking everybody, and they didn't want to help her. And then when it was time to sit down and eat, I think she only shared with the people that helped. Anyway, I just thought about that when I looked at that one little chicken with the red hair or fur or feathers. Is that what it is? Yeah. Sorry, that was my ADHD kicking in. I'm back now, and we're going to talk about a child who was stuck in a claw machine. Now, this is the second kid, and I hope you could tell by the little look on his face, he is a rambunctious one. So it's so funny to me that this is the second time a child has gotten caught in a claw machine in this same claw machine. And I think it's been like in a month's time. It's been less than a month, but in 30 days time, this is the second one. But he's 3 years old. His name is Patrick Campbell, and he was at the soccer dome. And Patrick's dad says that he is obviously rambunctious, and he made a quick decision because he simply wanted to get a ball. When they asked him why he got in the machine, he just said, "Get ball." And he managed to crawl inside while his father was briefly distracted watching the game. Now, Lil Patrick, the way that his mind said crawl inside and get it, he's got to be a smart kid. Instead of panicking, Patrick posed, as you could see in the earlier clips. He posed for pictures, and he flashed that little smile. He was completely unfazed and still is completely unfazed by being inside of the machine. He probably felt like he was at, or what I think millennial kids would have felt like going into Toys R Us. You remember how that felt like, just an oasis of all things fun? He probably felt so happy to be surrounded by all those balls. Look at him. He is so cute. But he felt right at home among all of the stuffed prizes, and that was much to the amusement of his sisters. That little girl back there in the background is one of his sisters. I think she's the older girl. And this one here, she said this is something she would have absolutely expected him to do. Look at that one. She is so cute. And she just grinned like, you guys have no idea what we go through at home with Lil Patrick. That is so cute. But he seemed so happy. This isn't, like I said, the first time. Just weeks earlier, firefighters had to rescue a 2-year-old named Cooper from the very same machine. This is the first of its kind call for this department, but now they are prepared with a special kit designed specifically for situations like this, ensuring safer, faster responses. So everybody is just fine. Well, that's a wrap from me today. Now I want to hear from you. Please go to news25 at week.com and let me know what you thought about today's show. Send me an email. Make sure you put Hey Shauna, that's SHAUNA, in the subject line so I know it's for me. In the meantime, be sure to check out the midday newscast, or not the midday, the evening newscast. We're past midday. And meet me back here tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. I'm LaShauna Guy for 25 News. Have a wonderful day.